I'm here this week with Tatiana. Yeah, so Tatiana, if you'd like to introduce yourself, just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for mental health.
Yeah, thank you, Athena. And if you see my name Tai Chi, that's pronounced like the martial arts Tai Chi.
Okay.
Yes, because some of my audience will know me as Tai Chi. Yeah, so I am a life coach. I'm a total well-being life coach. And well, that's what I do. I am a person, a soul in a human body right now. So yeah, I just love, I think, I'm with with everything. I mean, we'll talk about it, but with my background in music, I'm a lifelong musician. I've built two really beautiful, big careers, successful careers as a musician, and mental health. I wish I had the support. Yeah. I have three sons. They're 21, 19, and 16, and we talk a lot about mental health.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that that's like a crucial time. I'm 21 myself, so I feel like at the point in my life I am, and I'm sure your sons can relate. It's a lot of changes, lots of transitions,
Yeah.
lots of chaos all the time, especially if you're in school. Um, so yeah, definitely will probably be the focus of the talk today as a mom and as a life
Yeah.
coach. You definitely have some good perspectives on this. So yeah, if you don't mind, I would love to hear a little bit more about what you focus on more in life. Is it more like music focused and like how sound can center you, or is it more holistic? Um,
Yeah, it's definitely more holistic. I would say it's person based. It's so like everybody's different, and what's going to work for one person might not work for another. So I really like to approach my coaching um, with you know uh, the the person who I'm helping, the client. It's to figure out what helps them. So, and I look at it holistically. We're not one thing. We are body, mind, and spirit, and it has to be connected, and it has to everything flow freely, and we have to be aware of all three: body, mind, and soul, in order to achieve anything, whether it's a personal goal or health goal or career goal, or exams, getting through exams. Whatever it is, you have to consider all three. All three have to work in your favor. I mean, we get through life with our bodies and our minds and our spirits are so incredibly resistant that we get through a lot when we are completely a mess. And so that kind of gives us an idea that, yeah, we can just keep going that way. And that's where a lot of trouble start.
mhm.
So I guess I didn't answer your question, but I focus, yeah, holistically.
Yeah. And what is like the major overlap that you see between like issues with like the body and like how that plays a role in like mental health and like how that affects how you feel spiritually or like just as a human? As you said, like we're all humans with souls and like
Yeah.
yeah.
I think, I'm from Croatia, so I spent my first 21 years in Croatia, um, and I've lived here for 31 years, so a lot longer here. But I find that more and more people are so disconnected with our bodies. Especially when you are a college student or teenager, you are constantly, your body's constantly changing. And I don't think we're talking enough about the bodies, to know what is going on in your body, to know what does your body need. Everybody says, well, do some cardio and just do some stretching. Well, that's a layer. But what does the body tell you every morning when you wake up? When the body is tired, what does that mean? What does it tell you? So I think connecting with our bodies is the first step, really.
And what's your favorite way of like taking care of all three parts of the human or like what do you suggest, especially as a college student like who might be crunched on time and like they might be feeling tired but they have to go take a test and they have to go to class and they might have to go to like a club meeting or sports, whatever else they're involved in. What would be like the easiest or the best way to ground all parts of a human?
Awareness. Everything starts with awareness. Okay, if you are aware, if you can just stop, pause, take a breath. It takes less than 30 seconds to just take a breath and just become aware. If your body's tired, then you don't have to go at home and sleep. You obviously you
Mhm.
proceed with your day, you proceed with your exam, but you're just aware of it, and you balance it out with, okay, I'm going to take an extra breath. I know my body's a little bit tired, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace. Just relax, because if you try to fight it and resist it, right, and go through it without the awareness, then you're just creating more blocks that's going to affect your mind, and you're not going to be able to focus as much. So just take a breath and acknowledge, okay, I'm a little tired, so however I do today, it's fine. I don't have to today hit my A+ goals 100%. It's okay. And I know that even with just giving yourself that permission and that gentleness, that compassion will help you to perform better. And with that awareness, then maybe you skip that night's going out with friends. Maybe you say, I really need some rest.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a very, very true point. I think it's also hard, especially on college campuses, to get kind of locked in and like kind of just move with the crowd instead of focusing on how you're feeling and like do what's best for you. So how would you say, or what advice do you have to college kids to like stay true to yourself and how you're feeling despite all these external pressures of like conforming and like having to be a part of a social group all the time?
Yeah, boundaries. Start practicing boundaries. Set the boundaries and start practicing them. And I would say, start practice those boundaries in areas that are not as compelling as wanting to be part of everything, because like I am like that. I don't want to miss out on anything.
Mhm.
And when I was younger, of course, that was like, and so I overextended myself. I still overextend myself,
Mhm.
but like having knowing, so I and my advice is just practice those boundaries on things that are not so activating your passion, right?
Mhm.
That excitement inside. So something that's like, okay, I don't really care about tea. So I'm just gonna put a boundary around drinking tea, but knowing that you're actually giving signals to your brain what a boundary is. I just gave a silly example,
Mhm.
or just saying, practicing with your friend, with the best friend who you trust, and saying, hey, I I don't want to do lunch today. That friend's not gonna
Mhm.
um, be mad or say, okay, no longer friends, whatever, right?
Mhm.
Um, so just practice those boundaries so that when you're in a situation where I really want to do this and this and this and this, so I don't miss out, you will again have that awareness. Okay, my boundary is more important to me, because you know what? In the end of the day, they all go home, they all have their own lives, and what you end up is you.
That's very true. Yeah, it is a practice makes perfect kind of situation, and it is very uncomfortable to get over those boundaries, or like not getting over the boundaries, getting over like the uncomfortability of setting boundaries. Because for somebody like myself who tends to be more of a people pleaser, where like I want to make everybody happy, I do want to be a part of like everything. It definitely is very uncomfortable to be like, well, like I'm busy and like I'm not feeling well, so therefore like we can't do this. Um, yeah, it just takes like a level of respect too, like self-respect and like respecting other people because it's not fair to be like doing something that you don't want to be doing. I think it places a burden on other people as well.
Exactly. So if a friend, let me just ask you, if a friend asks you, hey, do you want to go out tonight, and you feel really, really tired, and you have a big day tomorrow, what do you usually say?
I usually it depends on how big of the thing is the next day. If I have a test, I usually say like no, I have to study. But if it's just because like I don't want to, then I'll be like, okay, like I'll consider it a little bit more. And then like I feel like I ultimately do go. But I set the boundary of like perfect example is like last week I went out and I had a lot of stuff to do the next day. So I was like, I'm drawing the line at 12:30 and I'm going home. And that's exactly what I just left. I was like, I don't care if anybody comes with me, but I have to go home. So that way it's like a little bit of like the best of both worlds where like I got to enjoy some time with my friends, but I also went home and was a little bit more productive. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's usually what I do. I don't know if that's like the best, but it makes me feel better about going out and like not missing things, but also getting the stuff done that I need to get done.
Yeah. Sounds like you're aware of what your need and how what you want. And I think what I heard you say, that was a very good point. You say I will consider. So you're not saying I can't, because a
Mhm.
lot of people say, well, I can't because, and then it sounds like, well, you would if you could. Where
Mhm.
the truth is, I really don't want to. And so
Mhm.
that's a very powerful tool in setting the boundaries. Just practicing saying, I don't really want to.
Yeah,
I
it's taken a lot of practice though, like, freshman year I'm a junior now, but my freshman year, like, I would never say no, and then I would stay up until, like, 5 a.m. doing work, and then it just became, like, a cycle and, like, definitely took a lot of practice to, like, break that cycle.
and I think people will appreciate you, appreciate more who you are, if you do, if you do speak that, you what you really want, like,
Mhm,
okay, I really, tonight, I really want to do this, instead of, I love
mhm,
you, so there's appreciation. People love that kind of strength and vulnerability, and courage and authenticity, so
mhm,
you'll be drawn more to the people that are really, the right circles.
mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it definitely, as I said, it takes a lot of practice.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to talk a little bit more about what you do on like a day-to-day basis and like with your clients. And I saw that your website focuses a lot on like sound and meditation and like more mindful noise, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I would love to hear a little bit more about like what platforms you use or any of your favorite sound or things that you can like listen to on the way to class to like help you ground yourself.
Hmm. Yeah. So again, everybody's different, and for me, I love silence as a musician. Silence is the most beautiful music. I love the sound of my breath. I also love the primordial sounds, which are any kind of nature sounds. The primordial, like the first sounds, the ocean, the wind, the rain, the soft rain in the spring. So obviously, there's a lot of apps that have those
Mhm.
sounds. I also like playlists that are, like my sons got me to listen to lo-fi, and I find that very, very grounding. But also like some classical music, like I think, anything before romantic period, like Bach, Mozart, all of that, that's not really emotional and engaging, like soundtracks. No, soundtracks are not grounding. Soundtracks are very inspiring and creative. So if I want to get into my creative mode, if I'm about to write a blog or something, then I listen to a soundtrack. But for grounding, really just more, Mozart is like, you know Mozart for study. But there's a reason, because um, it's very, rhythmical and simple, more simple, and it doesn't engage. At least for me, it doesn't engage.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I also love the sound bowl, the singing bowls.
mm,
Those are beautiful because that also has the resonance, so you can actually feel it in your arm, as in your
mhm.
hand, and going through your body. I love that. But you can't really bring a singing
Yeah,
bowl in a bus with you, so
and walking to class with one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then along those lines, I feel like music also changes as you, like, transition through life and, like, obviously music, like, preferences change as you get older, even depending on, like, the physical and mental state that you're having in a particular day. So what are some of, like, the transitional sounds that you would listen to? Or, like, how do you think sound affects mood or vice versa?
Oh, that's a big question. We could like talk a whole hour on that, because again, it depends on everybody. And last year I studied the basics of Ayurveda lifestyle, which really has to do with like your personal makeup. So everybody has different energies.
Mhm,
And then on a particular day, like if you are in more creative mode, you want something more grounded to balance it out. But if you
mhm,
want to boost that creativity, you want to boost to bring in something more airy, like swooping strings, and then if you want to boost up the energy, of course, you put on something with a lot of rhythm, a lot of beats. Um, yeah, and I mean, you were right on when you said we change, and so I think my advice is just to be open to that change and see what feels. If something starts irritating you, then change the channel. If something puts you to sleep and you're not meant to go to sleep, like that's not what you want to do, change the
mhm,
channel. All right, don't just like listen to it because it's a playlist and you I don't know, somebody gave it to you. If it doesn't work for you, there's so much beautiful music out there.
Mhm.
Pick your own playlists.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very true. I feel like I find myself listening to, like, pre-made playlists, and then I skip through, like, half of them. I'm like, "Well, that was a
Yeah.
waste." Like, that didn't really help. Um, and yeah, going based off, like, the transitions, as I said earlier, college definitely is lots of transitions. You're changing from freshman year to senior year, and then, like, pre-college you to college you is different, and then college you to post-college you while you go into your career is completely different. So what are some tips or like any advice that you have on coping with these transitions and changes and like going through life maybe with like different people, circle of friends change, stuff like that?
Okay, number one, compassion, self-compassion. Have a lot of compassion for yourself because you are going through a lot. And the world right now is going through a lot. So just know that it's, there's a lot. You're going through a lot.
Mhm.
Self-compassion. Can I say that again? Self-compassion. Okay. And then reach out for help. Reach out for support. You don't have to do this alone. Like often people we think when I was okay, so I was 19 when I became a pop star in Croatia. I was at the Eurovision Song Contest and it just blew up. I didn't mean to become famous. I just wanted to do my music, but I won this competition and it just blew up. And that fell in right at the moment where, like you said, I was changing. You have to allow yourself to change, to grow, to every day, like be okay with, okay, I'm a little bit different today in your body and in your mind. That's beautiful. And you know what? Flash, breaking news, flash news, how do you say that? Flash, whatever.
Newsflash.
Newsflash. Thank you. Yeah. It doesn't stop after college.
Mhm.
It keeps going. You are 50 and you wake up and you say, oh, what is this about?
Mhm.
And that's the beauty of being human. That is the beauty of being human, even when it feels like really hard. Okay, so compassion, reach for support. And I was telling you my story because at 19, then, I was learning about who I am, and then I became famous, and I got locked into a certain image. So if you find yourself in a college or in a setting where, you're locked into a certain image that you created and you don't feel comfortable,
Mhm.
have courage to step out of it because you don't want to be locked into it for and stifle your personal growth and the growth of who you are,
Mhm.
real, authentically you,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, compassion, reach out for support, and really awareness. Just pause often and breathe and just be aware of the beautiful you that you are underneath all the layers. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to sometimes, and like again going based off of this theme of transition and asking for help during times like that, when do you think is like the ideal time to reach for help?
Yeah. So first you have your trust.
Especially like in your line of work of like being a life coach, like when or how should we even go about that as like a college kid who might not know or like have the resources to?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the first is, have a trusted friend, have your squad, your people that, your tribe. And then after that, I know for some kids, and some students, if you have a family or a support system that you can reach out that supports your growth, don't forget them. They're also in your corner. And I know that's not, unfortunately, for the position for everybody. And there are a lot of ways that you can get life coaching, sponsored if you can't afford it. There's a lot of resources out there, but it is a little bit more difficult to find that.
Mhm.
Every college has student counselors. Um, I would definitely, when you feel like, okay, whatever you're going through, the hardships, the challenges are interfering with your daily life, and you're getting down, you're getting insecure, more and more insecure, that's the time to reach out to a professional. Definitely don't be afraid to reach out to therapists. Therapists
Mhm.
are like dentists. You go for cleaning every 6 months, maintenance. I always told my kids when they were little, if you break your bone, right, you go to the doctor to set it. Your bone will set itself naturally, but it might
Mhm.
set a little bit wrong, right? So when your heart is broken, right, or you go through a mental challenge, or extreme stress, or trauma, especially, yes, you will heal back together. But why not go to a professional that can help you put the pieces together so that later on in life doesn't cause you
Mhm.
trouble?
Yeah, that's very true, and I think that something that people need to keep in mind is that, like, yes, like, things do get better over time, but that doesn't mean it's fixed or even fixed properly for that matter.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and again, going off of this theme of transition, obviously we're transitioning to, like, post-COVID times and, like, even transitioning into COVID and quarantine and all of that has taken a toll on people. What are some contemporary sources or like contemporary ways that we can adjust with these changes as well and like get our bodies back to like functioning all the time and like going to work and like going to school full time again like in person, um, and just dealing with everything that has happened in the last 2 years and just kind of feels like you're just moving forward. um, yeah, so what's some advice for that transition that most people are going through right now?
Well, I would say, make sure that you take some time for some sort of meditation, some quiet time in which you can get grounded and know where you are each day. Okay, and then do some. I love walking. I have my kids are in Savannah, so at college in Savannah College of Art and Design, so they can walk through Savannah. If you can walk, if you can block off time to exercise, that's very important. But really, if you can get into nature, and like, I know hikes are long a long activity, so maybe not realistic for busy college students, but
Hmm.
just even walk in the park, just go to the local park and bring a blanket and just be in nature for a minute, and unplug the social media, put the phone in your bag, and
Hmm.
leave it, sit on the blanket in the park, and don't touch the phone for at least half an hour.
Yeah.
And then look at your schedule. My son Amadeus, he is total into mental health. He actually even has a brand, Smile Inverted, with a QR code on the back of the hoodie that will take you to a website that he designed, that's a resource of mental
That's
health.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he says he has to, and I hear a lot, like what you were saying, the boundaries, like he's very social, he loves to help other people. He's very involved with clubs. And so he says, I have to plan my week and really
Mhm.
block out times for my dinners, because eating, okay, what are you eating?
Yeah, that's a big issue I have personally, like, every day, I have no idea what to eat or if I even have food.
Yeah, and healthy eating, that will fuel your body, that
Mhm,
will, and your mind. So block your time for eating, and then also block your time for social activities. um, and just try to be realistic. I mean, this
mhm,
is this is your time to take care of you too. And
mhm.
then, I'll leave space for spontaneity, obviously, because
Yes.
that's the
Oh.
best part. But at least then you're going into it with some sense of, okay, I will have time for myself. My 16-year-old, who is a junior high school, he has to schedule, like, he schedules his, obviously, school, band, after school activities, work, and in his schedule he has to see blocks of time for video games,
Mhm.
or me time, like I'm not doing nothing. If he doesn't, he gets overwhelmed. So I think it's important for you to know, okay, this week I'm gonna have downtime, where I can really rest and do
Mhm.
whatever you want to do, listen to
Mhm.
music, dance, take a shower, take a bath,
Mhm.
go swimming, I don't know, watch birds, play video games, whatever, but it's for you.
Yeah, structure is definitely key. I know that that helps me get through my days, like, without a lot of stress. I would say that for the most part, like, and I'm sure most college kids can relate, there is, like, just a surface layer of stress all the time. So it makes it a little bit easier on me personally to just plan out my day, even if it's like very vague, like go to class. Like at least it's there and like I know what I have to do. But yeah, I definitely very firm believer in structure and making a daily schedule. All
Yes,
right, and
and
then
including the playtime,
yes, of course.
right? Yes.
And then last question, kind of a big and I don't know if it's a super heavy question, but looking back on your life and like what you know now and where you are now, what are some things that you would do differently if you were to be a college kid again? Like you wake up tomorrow and you're 20 years old again. What
I, okay. I just posted about it. I would definitely hire a life coach. Definitely. I didn't need. Well, I needed therapy then too, but I didn't. You know that I would have started with a life coach
Mhm,
because we are, at least for me, I was so focused on my music, on my studies, on my career goals, my passion. So I left, and music is it was artistic, and so I had a sense that I was also growing personally through it.
mhm,
But really, I needed someone to teach me refusal skills, someone
mhm,
to teach me boundaries, somebody to teach me serious self-care, somebody to teach me how to say no to people, how to discern who is a good person to invest into and who is no, stay away,
mhm,
how to be away from toxic situations, how not to go into situations that looked attractive and looked like they could be good for me but really weren't.
mhm,
So I would have crawled, and I don't know, given a lot of money if found ways to get a life coach. And I'm not saying that because I'm a life coach now, but because I know the value
mhm,
of someone that can, because coaching is different advice. Like what we're doing is you're asking me for my opinion and I'm giving you
mhm,
advice, but coaching will really get out of what's already in you. It will
mhm,
be what you know is best for you.
mhm. Yeah, very, very true. And I think it's again, I say this a lot, but it's very hard to get trapped and like just kind of go with the days and just kind of agree with things and not really think about what you're saying or doing and just go with the flow of the motions. So definitely agree that would be very useful to have somebody kind of guiding you on the journey of life and just kind of being somebody that you can rely on all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so, so much, Tatiana, for taking your time to speak with us today. Um, yeah, if you have anything else that you'd like to add, or if there's anywhere that people can connect with you and like book appointments with you, definitely feel free to shout yourself out. And then we'll link all of your stuff with the stream as well.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, my website's tatianacameron.com, and I'm also on Sophia Health. But and I also just want to say you all are amazing, and I just have so much admiration for your generation, for people who are in college right now. I think you are so resourceful. You're so aware already, so much more aware than we were. And I'm here to support you, and I know a lot of my colleagues, a lot of people that I know from my generation. We're here to support you, lift you
Thank
up.
you. And thank you so much again for speaking with us today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you.